started with reports of gunshots fired on the campus this morning, eerily similar to the deadly 2013 rampage there. Today, though, no guns or gunmen were ever found and no one was hurt. We are getting new details right now from district officials who just wrapped up that press conference there less than an hour ago. D.C. Bureau Chief Sam Ford is at 7th and M Streets with what they had to say. Sam, good news to come out of this press conference.
Okay, wait a minute. Did I get this?
I might kill you. Go.
Yeah, well, this morning, Atria, when I looked at the computer screen and saw breaking news, shooter at the Navy Yard, I wanted to refresh the computer screen because I thought this was some old page on the computer, but it was not an old page. The situation here, if you look, we're here at M Street. From here at 7th and M, where I am now, all the way to South Capitol M, it was a sea of police vehicles as they ran quickly here to find out what was going on. Metropolitan Police, Capitol Police, Park Police, Naval District of Washington Police. According to D.C. Police, the call came in at 7:29. Report from an employee that she thought she heard a gunshot in Building 197, scene of the massacre of 12 employees back in 2013. Immediately, police rushed to the scene and, under procedures in their training, took control of the building, initially telling everyone on the base to shelter in place. Police officers went to the surveillance cameras and they flooded the area with officers, some in uniform, some in plain clothes, to the point when officers spotted a suspicious person, it turned out to be another police officer. But after a thorough search of the building, authorities found no shooter and no injured person. Asked by reporters whether this was all a hoax, D.C. Police Chief Kathy Lanier said police interviewed the Navy Yard employee who made the call, and hoax is not the right word.
The person who made the call heard what she thought may have been gunshots, and she made a call, which is what employees here are trained to do. We have no concerns that this was a hoax whatsoever.
The chief admitted that she is relieved that this turned out not to be a criminal situation. Asked by if authorities are particularly vigilant because of the threats posed against America, because around the 4th of July holiday, she said in D.C. police are always at heightened alert and that tourists to the city have no particular reason to be alarmed. Reporting live from Southeast Washington, Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
And all of us echoing the chief's sentiments there, Sam, relieved that that was in fact not the case. This all started unfolding just after 7 o'clock this morning, and our Sam Sweeney was the first on the scene. He picks up our live team coverage now at 3rd and M Street. Sam.
It's a much different scene right now than it was about 2 hours ago. M Street from 2nd to 7th was flooded with law enforcement vehicles up and down. You couldn't get any more in. There were hundreds, if not thousands. Now, I want to set the scene. The response started at about 7:35 this morning, the height of the rush hour commute. People heading into work, and then suddenly a flood of law enforcement vehicles converged on M Street. This was an all-hands-on-deck response. MPD, Capitol Police, Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, and SWAT teams from several agencies. They were coming in marked cars, unmarked cars, speeding in from all directions from the district to the Naval Yard. Now, at the same time, fire and EMS staged on the surrounding blocks. At that time, nobody had any idea what was actually occurring inside the massive Navy Yard complex. But after that 2013 incident, nobody was taking chances. Now, I spoke with one man who was in the office at the Navy Yard as these events unfolded. He tells me he heard screams of terror, and that's when his training kicked in.
What we heard someone yelling, get out of the building, stay away from the cafeteria, get out of here, and everyone started running towards the exits. And so we were nearest an office, so we just dove into the office and locked the door.
Now, the Navy Yard has a very strict security policy. Those employees inside were even hesitant to describe the insides of the building, but they did say that employees do not need to go through metal detectors to get inside. But as we've been reporting, top officials within the city and the U.S. Navy praising this morning's response. The good news is, as we go into this July 4th holiday, nobody was injured. Reporting live at the Navy Yard, I'm Sam Sweeney, ABC 7 News.
And it was remarkable, Sam, to see that coordination among all those different agencies. Our breaking news continues now with Suzanne Kennedy, who is at Tingy Street. And Suzanne, a lot of employees had already arrived for work today when this all started unfolding and the alarm bells sounded. You spoke with several of them.
Well, Autria, this was the area where a lot of people congregated during this entire incident. It's the intersection of 4th and M Street. This is where people waited and watched, wondering what was going on. Because the incident happened at 7:45, people were just heading into work. Some of them made it to Building 197, others didn't. There was a heavy police presence throughout Southeast, even several blocks away from the Navy Yard, outside other government buildings, including the Department of Transportation, all up and down the M Street corridor. People were waiting and trying to figure out if this was actually a shooting or if it was a false alarm. We talked this morning at the height of all of this to people, some who had made it into Building 197, others who were just waiting and trying to figure out exactly what was going on.
I was trying to remain preoccupied, not think about what I had heard about the first shooting and things like that. You know, I sent a text to my family, just be like, hey, love you guys, just in case something crazy happened, but
that nobody gets hurt. Most importantly, I hope my manager was not in the building. So I called him right away, and he was not. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. You know, most of us were supposed to be in that building this morning, so a lot of us are just waiting.
A lot of people were waiting, trying to get back on the property to get their vehicles and head home for the weekend. I spoke with several of them who said they were there in September of 2013, had serious second thoughts about returning to the building after its renovation earlier this year, and now they say they have that same feeling in their gut. They're not sure if they want to return to Building 197. Reporting live in Southeast Washington, Suzanne Kennedy, ABC 7 News.
Suzanne, you are right. This incident opening old wounds, as she just mentioned, it was the exact same building impacted today where a military contractor stormed the building in 2013, opening fire, killing 12 people less than 2 years ago. It was just after 8 a.m., the same time as today, back in September of 2013, when Aaron Alexis stormed the building, murdering 12 civilian workers before being killed in a shootout with police. Since that shooting, the Navy has transformed Building 197 with a top-to-bottom renovation. In fact, it just reopened to employees back in February. The Department of Defense also changed how it monitors employees and contractors with security clearance. The federal government terminated its contract with USIS. That was the company that missed red flags in the background check of Aaron Alexis. Well, as this was all happening, a lot of street closures from this incident had a big impact on the morning commute. Jamie Sullivan has a check on how traffic stands right now. And Jamie, you know, with this still unfolding there and them wrapping up their investigation, I'm guessing all roads are not back open.
You know, we do have a lot of roads actually in that area that are open. What you will see, especially on M Street near 3rd Street and 7th Street, is still quite a bit of activity. So that is something to keep in mind. I do want to focus in on what we're seeing right now behind me. That is a slow go, 295 northbound. Work